happy Crochet Along day. It's finally here. We are officially starting up our Crochet Along, and I'm here to join all of you, and you can ask your questions. Make sure to pop those in the comments. I'm here to answer all those today, so you get immediate assistance with whatever your question is for the Crochet Along. If you have no idea what's going on and you haven't heard about the Crochet Along, I am running the Granny Pop Crochet Along from today until the 21st, but there is no rush on this. Work at your own pace. As always, you can crochet them quicker, you can crochet them slower, whatever. Work at your own pace. This is not a rush. So I have it scheduled for 2 weeks so I can go live with you and be active in the community group. And then the 22nd, I'm actually flying out with my daughter to Alberta because she has a job. My second daughter, Bethany, is going to work in Banff. So we're taking her there. So I wanted to make sure I squeeze this Crochet Along in with you guys. Everybody's been making these patterns, and I thought, let's make this official and have an official Crochet Along where we can all do this together. So make sure that you join if you have Facebook, join the Facebook community group, because that's where all the action is, where everyone's sharing their pictures, asking their questions. So make sure to join the group if you have Facebook. I've posted the link in the description of this video so that you can go over there and start sharing, asking your questions in the group, because everybody's been working on these patterns. So if I can't get to you, somebody in the group will be able to answer your questions. And it's just exciting to work on things together. It's so much fun. Our community is amazing. Everyone's so amazing in our community group. So make sure you join. So let's go through, I guess, all of the housekeeping, all the stuff about the Crochet Along. So hopefully I remember everything. If I forget something, make sure just to ask me. So we do have an information page for the Crochet Along. It is linked in the description, and you can go there and it will show you the garments that we're making, the options to join for free, or the paid versions. So all of the patterns are on the blog. You need to subscribe through the Grow app. So when you go to the blog, there'll be like information about the pattern, and there's a table of contents right at the start of the blog. So the table of contents is really handy. I know some people will be like, oh, we have to really scroll to find the pattern. If you click on the table of contents, you can easily jump to whatever you're looking for. If you're looking for yarn, if you're looking for the hooks, if you're looking for the pattern, just click the table of contents. It will hop you right to whatever part of the blog post you're looking for. And then you're going to see when you come to the pattern, some people think it's an ad, but it's not. It's like blocked out the pattern, and then there'll be a little box that'll say sign up here, or sign up or log in. And then you're just going to either create an account or sign into your account. So whatever. And then I can't speak this morning. The post will appear and you can view the pattern. So there's that option for you. Plus you can buy the patterns individually. They're in my Etsy shop. They're on Ravelry. They're on Ribbler. So you can purchase the pattern. They're beautiful. They're beautiful PDFs put together. Lots of time have gone into them. They've all been tech edited. I have a wonderful tech editor I'm working with now. So she's gone over all of the patterns. Most of them have been out for a while, so people have tested them. So it's, yeah, so there's those available, and the ebook is now available. So I put together the ebook with all of the patterns and during the Crochet Along, you've got some extra goodies in there as well. So lots of options for you. So if you want the ebook, it's an 85-page ebook, and it has all the patterns. And if you want it all in one place, if you want to get it printed like through a local shop or even Staples or something, if you want a printed copy, that's great for you to have as well. So you can go, it's only available, the ebook, in my Etsy shop. So if you're interested in that, I also have the link in the description box for the ebook if you want to get your hands on that. So that's all exciting. So that's how you can get the patterns. Also YouTube, if you're watching from YouTube, all of the videos are on my channel. So you can watch the step-by-step videos that go along with the pattern. So I know some people really prefer the video. You're a visual learner, so you can easily go watch all those videos, follow along with the blog, follow along with the pattern, and you can get making all of these garments. So we have 6. So it's exciting. We have 6 patterns now. I'm wearing, I guess this is the first one I did. So this is the Granny Pop pullover, which is a crew neck. Let's just take a look at it here. It's nice. I know some people thought maybe it's too snug, but it's totally not snug around the neck. I know I did go a little loosey-goosey on my own gauge on this one, so it came out a little bit bigger, but it's nice and loose. It's not going to be tight around your neck. It's a nice style, and you could probably even pull it off the shoulder if you wanted. But, you know, always you can make it tighter by just making using a smaller hook as well, if you prefer that a little bit tighter and not as loose. So this was the first pattern. It comes in extra small 2-5X, plus we have the mini version. Let me see if I got it here. So we have the mini version available as well. So the mini pop pullover, this is how cute. See how cute it is? If you want to just take on a smaller project, you can make one of the mini versions of the patterns. So this one is, I believe this was maybe the 12 to 18 month size that I have here. And it also has a video on my YouTube channel. So this is super cute, and it goes all the way up to child size 12. So newborn all the way to child size 12. So you could make one for anyone. I've seen these made for boys, girls. I get that question even with the pullover. Can this be made for men? Absolutely. You may just want to narrow out the sleeves a little bit more, maybe not have them as baggy, which is so easy to do. And now with all of the patterns being done, there's instructions on how to decrease. I've also shown how to start this out with less clusters in the sleeve. So that's always an option as well, that you can start it. All you're going to have to do if you want to modify that is you do need to modify how many rows are in the band. So let me just quickly explain this. So this is a granny stitch cluster, and it requires 4 stitches because it has your 3 double crochet and then a chain 1 skip stitch. So for our sleeves, if you want to make these sleeves more narrow, you can take out 4 stitches, and that's 4 rows off here, but you need to do it on both sides. So 8 stitches in total, and you could bring that down even more. You could reduce it another stitch if you wanted to. It's just going to make your collar. And like I say, you have some room to go down on this collar. So if the collar is smaller, it's okay. You can easily do that and make some modifications. That's just a little tip. For the V-neck, I reduced it by a cluster on each side. And I also did that for the new hoodie. So I made them a little smaller, and there's decreases included on how to actually decrease the sleeves. I didn't do a lot of decreases because I wanted baggier sleeves, but you can go keep decreasing maybe every 3rd row and decrease it right down. So honestly, if you turn this around and you make it into colors that a man might like it's going to look totally different. You could color block it. You could do it in a solid. You can mix it however you want. Now I've used this beautiful gradient yarn, so I don't have to do any color changes. It's just all in the ball, which is amazing. I love not having to change color, and it's just quick and easy, but gives us that fun pop of color. So this is Mary Maxim Prism. This is the yarn that I've used in all of the patterns, and it is absolutely beautiful. I've used so many different colors. I love them all. I think I sold this one out because when this pattern came out with this color, people were crazy over it. So I think I did sell out this color, but there's so many nice ones to choose from. You're sure to find something you're going to love. And people are loving the iris that I just used for the hoodie. And then a lot of people really loved the landscape that I used for the V-neck. So lots of choices. But if color isn't your thing and you don't want the color, you can go with a neutral. I use Best Value. I know some people, and I'll address this now while I'm talking about it, that why is this a worsted and this is a DK? So even though balls are labeled differently, that doesn't mean they actually gauge differently. So you can't necessarily go by it. It's a rough kind of guess, but you can't necessarily go by what a ball is labeled. So I posted a video yesterday for the gauge, and please go watch that video because I do the wraps per inch on these. They are almost the same. If not, this one could even be a little heavier because it kind of does a thick thin. And they actually both wrapped closer to a sport weight. So there you go. You can't necessarily go by what the ball's labeled. And I give you some tips and tricks and all the things in that gauge video. So please go watch that, and that will help you find substitute yarns and help you kind of determine. I like that, like, these yarns are really soft and light. I love that it's nice and flowy. It has beautiful drape. So you want to go on the lighter side than to the heavier side is my suggestion, especially for everything to lay flat. We've had some things come up in the group that the collar is like standing up. I think if you're using a heavier yarn and it's maybe not as soft, it's probably not going to lay as well. If you block your sweater and maybe even wash it, it could soften up some yarns. So you want to check that to see if it will, but definitely using a nice soft yarn is going to help this sweater fit really, really nicely. So that is the first pattern. So elaborating on all of that. So this was the first pattern I released, the pullover, and then I designed the cardigan. I had so many people asking for the cardigan. Let me see if I can find it down here in my pile. So here's the cardigan. I used another fun color for this one. This one looks amazing for fall. And this color actually really suits me, as you can see on my face. It's just pick a color that suits you, and then you're going to really love it. So this color is Lakeside. It's in the prism as well. This is beautiful for fall. And the cardigan is long. You could make it shorter. Of course, you can customize these patterns. They're all top down. They're all seamless. I think that's why people have just gone crazy for these patterns, because they're great for beginners. Like if you've never made a garment, you don't have all of that seaming. They're just really easy and they fit so nice. I love a top down. It fits really nice. And the cardigan, like no seams. We don't have any side seams. So you don't have any weirdness on the side with color changes. So yeah, you can modify this one. It's simple. It's quick. I think that like this one's been super, super popular too. People just love this cardigan. My daughter had never made a garment before. This was her first garment. My daughter, Emma, is my assistant. She does the blog writing, helps me tremendously, helps with a lot of admin work. And she had never made a garment. And when she was doing the blog post, she was like, I don't know, Mom, I think this isn't beginner friendly. I think this is hard. This looks really complicated and really hard. So by looking at the pattern, she was a little intimidated. But then she started making it and she was like, oh, it's way easier than I thought. So don't be thrown off by the pattern. Sometimes the pattern, when you look at it written, it looks way more complicated than it actually is. The most complicated thing for this pattern, and I apologize for this because we've had some updates, the clusters are confusing. They confused my editor. They confused me. I kept confusing myself with the clusters. People have been confused with the clusters because depending on what row you're on, it could be like less clusters or more clusters. If you stop on this row, oh my goodness. And it was just, I almost honestly never want to see a cluster pattern again because the clusters are frustrating. But other than that, it really is easier than you think. And if you're off a cluster or two clusters, it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to know. It's really not a big deal. So Emma made this cardigan. She made one for her mother-in-law. So sweet. She had a trip out east and she made it her first garment and it looked absolutely amazing. She did an incredible job. And she, of course, wanted to make the new hoodie and she did it in the solid color. So I'm going to show you the hoodie here because the hoodie takes kind of the cardigan to the next level. I did it shorter for you in the pattern and we've added a hood. It's still top-down construction. I did add the hood after. I didn't start at the hood and you could start at the hood. This kind of the way these patterns go, you could start off with the hood and then go into the pattern. I just added it after because that's how I wanted to do it, but it would be so easy to start with the hood as well. So the hood is added. We added buttons. I added pockets. So just all of these added little extras, and people are also like loving this purple color. So Emma wanted to do it in the neutral color, which it turned out so good. And she had never done a hood before. Also, obviously, first garment. So here's hers, and it came out absolutely stunning. So if you like more neutral, I can't get it to look good here for you. I need to maybe do a button up. So she did the buttons. She did the buttonholes. Yeah, it was exciting to see my daughter doing this stuff. Okay. So here it is. We added the pockets and it fits amazing. Turned out really good. So I've told you about 3 patterns now. So that's the 3rd pattern, and that one was just released today. I have a coupon code for it. Every time I've released these patterns, I've given you a coupon code, and no exception with this one. It's 20% off. Use the code. We should put it in here for you. Use the code POPHOOD20. POPHOOD20 on Etsy or Ravelry. And that will get you 20% off. Okay, so that's 20% off. It's also on the blog though, and it's also on YouTube. So all of those instructions are now on YouTube, so you can make that. So that's super exciting. So that one's done. Emma was able to do that. Now, I think I talked about this in the gauge video. So if you go watch, her gauge was actually not meeting my gauge. There's so much flexibility with these patterns, which is another thing that I love about them. So her gauge was off. She was definitely, I think, short on the rows, and other people have been having this issue. So she was short on the rows, but I think her stitches were good, but her rows weren't. So she had started off, she was going to make a small because I found the medium to be quite big because it is an oversized fit. So she was going to make the small, but because her rows were off, I told her to just go ahead and make the medium. But her gauge was, like I say, it wasn't the same as mine. So she would have done more rows than I would have done. But all she did was keep trying it on to get the length that she wanted. So the only thing what will happen if your rows are off like that? So when you're doing your yoke, it's going to be shorter, and maybe you're completely okay with that it's shorter than what the pattern calls for, and you'll just still continue with your size. In Emma's case, I told her to go 2 more rounds to the medium because I was worried like it would be too small for a long cardigan, because I didn't want it to end up like being too snug at all around the hips and stuff. So she ended up going up just to kind of accommodate for that gauge. And we do discuss this in the gauge video and if you get the guide. So if you sign up for the Crochet Along, you're going to get that guide for free. So the link again is in the description. You sign up, you're going to get the supply list with an exclusive coupon code for Mary Maxim to get your yarn. And it's a one-time code, so make sure you order everything you want. And I'm also including, you get this free gauge guide, and it's going to go into like lots of detail about gauge and how to fix it, and it's specific for this Crochet Along. And we do a swatch and everything through that, and the video as well. So it's going to give you sort of the tips, like how you can maybe correct if you need to pull on your stitches to make them a bit longer. Another thing you can do, and I mentioned this in the guide, that if your stitches are too short, you could switch from, let's say, a double crochet to a treble crochet, and that you don't have to adjust how you crochet. It'll just lengthen those stitches for you. Or if you're too high, you could always go down to a half double crochet if you needed to change it that way. So usually the hook will change your stitches. So if your stitches, you want to make sure first off that your stitches are correct. So you want those 4 clusters, 4 chain 1 spaces in 4 inches. So that's about 16 stitches if you count your cluster as 3 and your chain 1 space is 1. So you want to make sure you adjust your hook to get that. If you get that, you can do a few tricks with how you crochet to change the height of your stitches. Or you, like I say, you could do a half double crochet, you could do a treble crochet. You have some flexibility there. So that's important. Go watch the video and get the guide because I've given this to everybody. So if you've joined for free, you don't have to buy the ebook to get this. This is included. It is included with the ebook. You'll make sure you get your copy if you've bought the ebook. But if you sign up, you're also going to get that guide because I want everybody to be on track with this. I want you to understand gauge when you're making a garment. But again, these are so flexible. They're oversized. You can size down, you can size up to kind of fix some issues with gauge. So it is a little bit more flexible, just like it was with Emma. She wasn't on track with gauge, but it was okay. It came out amazing. So don't worry if you're a little bit off. I think there's flexibility with it being oversized. So the only thing is if you're bigger, you definitely don't want to be, you want to size down or you're going to have a very, very oversized and you may need to gift it to somebody. So let's keep going with what the patterns are. So I'm going to keep, I have another one here, the V-neck, which was after I came out with a crew neck, a lot of people wanted a V-neck. So it looks like I have a tail. I haven't actually yet. It's inside out. I do miss the odd tail sometimes too when I'm rushing to finish a project. Okay, so let's get this the right way. So here is the V-neck. So the V-neck is your other option and it's included in the ebook, or you can find it on the blog or buy the individual pattern. I've done the crop length with it, which I love, but you can make this longer as well. Someone just asked, I am going to go through all your questions, but I'll get really distracted if I don't get through the patterns first. So can you add a hood? You could totally add a hood. You could do this if you watch the hoodie video and see how I attach a hood. You could attach a hood to this and that would be completely fine. So I had some comments come up with the V-neck about how this sort of pulls a little bit here. And this is just because when you have these rows here, it is automatically when you put stitches along them, it's going to want to align. So you can see that it kind of curves in just slightly, and it's because it has to align with these stitches. Now, some ways that you could maybe, if you really hate that, you could make sure you make this a lot looser. I've done slip stitch, so it's obviously going to pull things in a little bit tighter, can make that looser. But putting this, I experimented a little bit with it, and it really, and if you're putting the ribbing on, it definitely is going to pull that in. If you did a more simple edge, it may not pull that in at all. But it's just basically at the effect of having like a big loose stitch like this and then trying to add that ribbing and edging. It's just the nature of the pattern. I think it still looks beautiful. If that bothers you, don't make this one, make a different one. But let's not be negative and mean in the group if you don't like the way that looks, because I think it still looks amazing. It never bothered me at all, or I obviously wouldn't have put the pattern out. But yeah, it's just the nature of putting this ribbed on that it's going to naturally going to do that. This one, we did do decreases on the sleeves. I also made this one a little bit less a cluster, not at the start of this one. So this one is going to be a little, and I also made the small with this one. So it looks a little bit more fitted when I'm modeling it. Whereas this one, like I say, I went a little looser on it. So it's a little bit bigger on me. And then the hoodie, the purple hoodie that I'm modeling is a medium and it's oversized fit. So it's a 43-inch finished bust on the medium size. So you always want to look at the finished measurements. Okay. So this is some tips on picking your right size. So I include a size chart. So I say your bust size range. So normally if you're in a 36 to 38 range, you'd probably pick a medium. If you're in the 32 to 34, you're probably going to pick a small, et cetera, et cetera. But I also have finished bust, and I've given you that this is an oversized 5 to 7 inch, let's say, ease. So that's the ease it's going to be. Like, obviously, this is way bigger than my actual bust measurement. So it's oversized, and the amount of inches it tells you. So if you're a 38-inch bust, and you make a medium, it's a 43, that's going to give you 5 inches of extra ease. So pick, if you want it more fitted, size down. If you like it, baggy, then go with the size that you maybe normally would make. But look at the size chart. Also look at the schematic, because I give you all the measurements in the schematic as well for sleeves, for the length, all of those things. And I do have, if you buy the ebook, I do have the perfect fit guide, which gives you all of how to measure all of your body part, like all your body parts, everything, how to measure. Also, I even have included a little page where you can mark off, these are my measurements. And then you can pick the size accordingly. If you know that you want the body longer, make sure you kind of account for that. These patterns you can try on as you go. So it really makes that part simple. So I find when I go oversized, it makes my sleeves longer. So sometimes, you may need to take out a couple rows if you're oversized. But if I've sized down, I need those extra rounds for the length. Like these ones are really long on me. I probably could have taken off a couple rows, but you can try it on as you go. So stop the sleeve where you want to stop the sleeve. And so many of you have even made it short sleeve, which has looked absolutely amazing. So just try on and stop where you want. And also with the length, go to the length that you're comfortable with. If you want it crop, try it on, because even what I've said is crop, I'm 5'6", you may be 5'2", you may be 6 feet. So, right, like we're all different. So go to the length that you need for your body. And getting that perfect fit guide is a good little handy thing just to go through, read it, get yourself familiar, and make sure you write down your body measurements so you know to pick the right size. And also, if you have a nice fitting top, measure it. Like figure out what the length is, what's the length from the underarm to the bottom, what is the width, and then that will really help you pick the size. Pick the closest size, because there's obviously a range, but pick the size that it's going to fit you how you want. So we've got this pattern, and now the other pattern we have is the mini cardigan. So this is so sweet, and my little granddaughter Rose is modeling it. So this one also goes from newborn up to child size 12. So I've only got 2 mini patterns, but this one would be really easy to add a hood to as well, following the same method that I've added the hood. You may just need some trial and error as to how long to make the hood. Just estimate that, or you can probably find some charts maybe online just to kind of see how much you need to do for that hood. But it would be really easy to add a little hoodie onto this as well and just continue with the band as I did with the other pattern. So yeah, super easy to add a little hoodie if you want for your little ones. But this is such a sweet little pattern and has the button up. And this is actually in Seascape Prism. So if you've been wondering what Seascape looks like, this is the Seascape. And I also did it in a solid as well. I used Mary Maxim yarn, and it's called Sunrise, and it's super soft, perfect for little ones. This one's in the Sunrise. It's a nice sheen to it, and it's just super soft. If you're making something for a little one, make sure to pick something that's soft and that's not going to irritate their skin. So I'm going to start going through questions. Again, all the patterns are on the blog, in my shops, the ebook's on Etsy. If you sign up, you get the supply list, you get an exclusive coupon code for Mary Maxim yarns, and you get the gauge guide for free. So if you purchase the ebook, the extras that you get is that perfect fit guide. I haven't shown you one pattern. You get the shawl that I just released. So you get the shawl pattern as well. And this is using Mary Maxim Marvelous Chunky. So, and it's beautiful. Like this will be perfect going into winter, nice for fall, but it has the fringe detail. So this tutorial is on my YouTube channel now. Pattern is on the blog. And then you get the bonus PDF with the ebook. So this is in the chocolatey color. And I also did it in the lighter color for the tutorial. And these colors are just so fun, beautiful for fall, and they give that shimmery effect. They almost look sparkly, even though they don't have the sparkle in them. And then one last thing I'm giving you if you purchase the ebook is a coupon code for my Ravelry shop. So you'll get that as well. There's another pattern you've been eyeing up. You get an extra special little discount on that. So I will start going through questions now and make sure I answer them. I know Emma's been in the comments helping me out, but make sure if you have questions, now is the time to ask, especially if I haven't answered them and you need some help on something. And also, again, you can post those comments in the Facebook group. So a lot of people, I'm going back to the beginning, lots of comments, a lot of people just saying good morning, everyone. And I know one of the questions that's come up, if you don't have Facebook, you can still participate. All these lives will be on YouTube. You can crochet along with us. You have access to all the patterns. And if you're on other social platforms, make sure to tag me in your reels or TikToks or your picture posts. I'm usually on, I think I'm on most platforms, so you can probably tag me. And you can also email us pictures. So you can contact through my blog. There's a contact page there that you can contact me and share your work. So we have people coming and joining from all over the world, which is always exciting. Oh, I guess we will talk about more about yarn substitutes in a little bit, but let me just go through and see. I don't want to miss your questions. Timestamps to the videos. I can see if Emma can maybe go through and do that for me. I don't have them on there now, but we can look into that for you, Michelle. That would be helpful, I know. Okay, so let's see. I have Becca joining from Peterborough, so not too far from me. I'm just outside Peterborough, so that's exciting. I have some local people. Okay. Yeah, someone else said the stamps would be great. So yeah, I'll see if I can get Emma on that. She's getting a little bit more time to help. Rose, my granddaughter, is 5 months today, actually. She's 5 months old. So she is getting in some ways a little easier, but I think she's getting anxious to start moving as well. Yeah, the time goes by so fast. I can't believe she's already 5 months. So let's see. Oh, Emma says she doesn't know how to do timestamps. So I'll have to teach her how to do that. Don't worry, Emma, I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so yeah, I have people like it's crazy all over France, Scotland, going through them. I'm so glad everybody's excited to do this. I can't wait to see all of the versions and all the colors. It's always so fun. So what is my arm length? Depending on where I measure, like 18 to 19 inches from my underarm down. So that's roughly my arm, depending on how far I go down onto my hand. Probably maybe 18 inches if I don't, if I go right to my wrist. So yeah, I think what you want to do, Kay, is try it on as you go and sort of see. Like I would say mine, this one is long. Like this one you can, I don't know if you can see her. This one's definitely long on me, but you could go until, like I like that it bunches a bit with the cuff, but if you don't like that, then you'd want to pull it back. But if not, I would say if you put it on and before you start the cuff, if it comes to your wrist or a little bit past, if you then pull the cuff, it's just going to give you that little bit of bunch there, which is always nice. So you can figure out that as you go. If you don't want the bunch, then you're going to want to stop before the wrist and then knowing that your cuff is going to add that 2 inches to the length. Does the so the children, there's no hoodie pattern for the child, but like I say, it's super easy to add a hood if you're wanting. All you do is go onto that foundation row and you're going to just work in rows. So you join on to that very first foundation stitch, and then you can watch the Add All the Hoodie video. It'll give you an idea. And then you just work rows back and forth. There's no decreases, nothing. It's just a simple square hood that you seam. So it would be super easy to add that. And then when you do your ribbing, you just continue and go right around the hood. So very easy to add a little hoodie onto this pattern if you're looking for that. I didn't do a whole other pattern. Em and I thought we were happy with just the crew neck style. I don't like a V-neck so much on a little one, just because then you're seeing like their undershirt and stuff. Maybe for the older kids, a V-neck would be okay. But most of these patterns, once you kind of make them all, you could easily probably take the cardigan pattern and make it into a V-neck, if you know what I mean. If you look at the cardigan, you could do that similar, and then you're just joining it. You're joining it and then working in the round to finish it off. So between the patterns, you can probably sort that out. I don't usually do as many children patterns as I do adults. And to try to fit in those patterns, I didn't have time. So I think that if between those two, you can probably make the modifications if you really want to add the hood or turn one into a V-neck. I know it's maybe a little bit of trial and error, but I think you can make it work between the two patterns to sort it out. Could you put a hood on the sweater you are wearing? This one would be a little bit more complicated because this is how we're starting this pattern. So we're starting it with ribbing. So it would be more complicated to figure that out, because you would have to, I don't know, if you started this without the ribbing, you would have to start your foundation chain, and then you would maybe put your hood on between the section. You'd have to have an open section here. So it'd be a little bit more complicated, where the other patterns that don't start with ribbing, it's much easier to just add the hood onto them. But this one would take a little bit more figuring out. So let me keep on going. So make sure you I'm reading through, but make sure you pop in any of your questions that you've been wondering about. And like I say, the group is great. If I miss anything, make sure to pop it in the group if I miss any of your questions. Marie Ann says she'll be using Cookie DK yarn for the pop cardigan, just waiting for the yarn to come in. Yeah, I know some people are still waiting on their yarn. That's okay, not a big deal. Just start whenever. And these sweaters, you can make them so quick that you will be shocked. You'll think, oh, only 2 weeks for the cowl. But these sweaters, you can probably work them up in less than a week. And if you're making a smaller size, you could probably make it in a couple days. So they really do not, this is the thing about the granny cluster stitch. You're whipping through these patterns. It's crazy how fast you can make them. So blocking will usually make them bigger, not smaller. Okay. So I actually didn't block these. I did. I steam blocked them. I didn't do the full on wet out lay down. You can do that. I used acrylic yarn. So acrylic typically does not change a lot. When I washed my cardigan, I don't think I have that one handy. When I washed my cardigan, it definitely stretched out a little bit. So that's something to consider with the length. You may find you're going to get more stretch or pull with the stitches. When you wash it, definitely lay it out on a towel and have it that it's not like, don't hang it, because then you're going to get a lot of stretch. Okay. So just lay it out, shape it out on some towels and let it dry that way. So the acrylic yarn, it actually washed up. The Best Value washed up really nice. I was really impressed with how it washed up. And it definitely was a little bit bigger. I think after I washed it, I felt it was a little bit looser, a little bit longer, but I was completely okay with that. I was happy. May bother you more if you're going for a crop and it lengthens it out. But definitely consider that it may stretch out a little bit more when you block or wash it. So let's see. I'm going to keep going through. Let me see. I've been working on my granny cardigan in Wild Orchids, which is this color. That's amazing. So yeah, I'm sorry if you guys can't get it now. This is what happens. I tend to sell colors out, especially on popular designs like this. The pullover that I did in, oh, what was it called now? It was the bluey color of this pullover. It sold out really, really quickly. And unfortunately, they discontinued the color. I don't know why. I wish they could get more because it was so popular. But some of the prism colors are going to be discontinued, which is really sad. I'm sad, of course. So if there's ones you're eyeing up, like Denim Blues is going away. I ordered a bunch of it and then realized, oh dear, I better maybe not make something with it because it's going away. I think one of the misty purpley colors is going away. So unfortunately, I hate that. I hate when colors go away. Landscape's beautiful. It's sticking around. So I'm happy about that. So yeah, that's hard, you know, and this happens. I tend to, if patterns are really popular, they can quickly sell out yarn colors when everyone's ordering from, you know, Canada and US. They can disappear quickly. So, and someone's asking again about the suitability for a man. And I said, absolutely. I think these are unisex. So I would just maybe, you know, narrow out the sleeves more for a man. But because I have so many sizes available, you're going to find a size that's most likely going to fit your man. Even if he's a big man, my 5X is even oversized. So you're probably going to find a size within these patterns that are going to work. And you can try it on him as you go. Or if you're a man yourself, try it on as you go, because that's the great thing about this top down is that it's super flexible. Now, another tip that some people have been mentioning in the group is doing the spike stitch. If you want to close up and it not to be as open like this, you could do, so your double crochet that's in the center of the cluster. Let me see if I can get this up here. So you're going to do a spike stitch. So what the spike stitch is going to do, you're going to come down here and you're going to kind of cover up that little gap. So if you've never done a spike stitch, you just can Google that. Just search it up on YouTube or wherever. You'll get probably a gazillion tutorials. So just watch and you can see how to do the actual stitch. And then it's a little bit more time consuming. I debated about doing one, but I just love how fast this stitch works up. So it would be a little bit more time consuming, but you could do it. You could drop it down and you could do that spike stitch and cover it up. And if maybe your man would prefer that and not it to be as holy, then go that way for him. But really, another pattern that you might like is the Athabasca Falls pullover, because it's a top down double crochet, all double crochet. So that pattern you may want to look at as well, because it's just the plain double crochet stitch. Now, unfortunately, I hate when I do this, guys, but sometimes I just don't know ahead of time. So that yarn is discontinued. So it was Mary Maxim So Soft. I loved that yarn, but they just couldn't get it anymore. Like we tried. And even I think Lion Brand has something similar that may not be sold out yet. I'm sure I have the substitute in the pattern. It's just slipping my mind what it's called. But I think sometimes the mills will just stop making those particular yarns, because a lot of the companies will get it all from the same mill. So you could have like Lion Brand label on it or Mary Maxim or whatever. And it's coming from the same mill, making the same type of yarn, just in different colors. So anyways, this yarn we cannot get anymore. So you just need to substitute for a worsted. Most worsted weights are going to work fine. I just really loved the fuzziness and the light fluffiness of that yarn, but there's always a substitute out there. So yeah, and again, watch that gauge video because I show you about this wraps per inch tool. Maybe I should just show it to you here. I love this. We Crochet sent this to me, and this is going to be my new favorite tool because you can just wrap your yarn. You wrap your yarn around here and it tells you how many wraps you have per inch. So if you're going through your stash right now and you're like, I want to make one of these sweaters, I want to make the baby sweater, or, you know, one of them, go through your stash, See how many wraps per inch you get on here. It says, it gives you an estimate here. So worsted 9, DK 11, sport 12, fingering 14, lace. So that's how many wraps you're wrapping around it. And this is a really great way to compare. So you sort of can see this thickness between different yarns. And this is the interesting thing. Like always, when you do this stuff, I wrapped mine and I got 13. And you can see 13 is falling between a sport and a fingering weight. And this was labeled a worsted. This is labeled a DK. Now, the first time I did it, I did get DK, but this yarn has a tendency to go thick thin. So if you grab some thicker strands, you're obviously not going to wrap as many. And if you're grabbing the thinner strands, you can get more. So this was definitely closer to the DK. This would be consistent, and it was 13 wraps. So if you're looking at a worsted weight, say Michelle used a worsted weight, and your worsted weight is wrapping 10, mine wrapped 13. That's 3 wraps difference. So that's quite a bit difference in thickness. So your sweater is going to be much heavier than mine. And maybe you don't care. That's okay. Make a smaller size then. Just make a smaller size and you should be fine. So this is a handy little tool. We Crochet has great stuff. Go to their tools and check out all the things they have. This I love. I love the gauge tool. And also if you have hooks that aren't labeled, it's got all the holes there for you as well. So you just stick your hook in to see what size it is. And this is great because you can measure here how many rows you have, how many stitches. You can use a measuring tape too. You don't have to have one of these tools. I just like it, and it's pretty for pictures. So I like looking at that whole square and seeing like, this is my swatch. So it's always important to make a swatch bigger than 4 inches. Some people get confused about that as well. So even though I give you 4 inches, that doesn't mean make it in 4 inches. You want to make it bigger so you kind of have some, you can kind of go around your swatch to get it in the right position, because your end stitches are sometimes going to be maybe more squished, and your starting stitches maybe. Once you sort of get into a pattern, I find you sometimes loosen up a bit. So make sure that you've got more rows, more stitches than what are supposed to be in that 4-inch square. Make it bigger. And I have that swatch video done for you and the guide done for you so you can follow along with that swatch pattern. And I know some people don't like to swatch and they just want to get right into it. So if you get right into it, just take a measurement once you're into the yoke, and then you can adjust accordingly by making a bigger size or smaller size. If that's like, I like how this looks, I like this hook, this is what I'm going with, then just maybe alter what size you make. And because you can do that with a top down, it's easy. You can either go up to the next size or stop your yoke, try your yoke on, and just make those adjustments. But it never hurts to do the swatch first if you want. And I have said in the video, this, if you're making a pocket, which the hoodie pattern has, make your pocket. And if your pattern calls for a pocket, make a pocket. And then that will give you a little project, and then you're not having to pull yarn out or waste time. You can just make your pocket and then check your gauge and see how you are. So yeah, the pocket is perfect for this gauge swatch. So make sure to do that. And then you have a pocket done. And you can always add a pocket on the other cardigan if you wanted as well. So I don't know if I would add it on this style, but definitely on our other cardigan, you could add a pocket. Will you ever, this is funny. Will you ever do these using a different stitch besides a granny cluster? Of course. And I already have patterns available that don't use the granny cluster. I've just been on a roll with the granny cluster. So we've done a bunch of them, but there are more top-down patterns. I have a bobble top-down sweater in my shop. And there's a YouTube tutorial for it. I have the bobble, also the bobble dress that has the bobble sleeve and then the solid front and back. And that's a dress, or you could make it a sweater. I have the Athabasca Falls, which is double crochet. I'm trying to think if I have more than that. I'd have to go back through my patterns. I have so many, but I definitely want to do more top down. I'm really loving this style. So definitely I will be making more in different stitches for sure. I know, because sometimes it doesn't work out. I've frogged a lot of top-down patterns that just have not been coming out right. And sometimes top downs need a lot of blocking because they'll curve. And if you find that happening on the Athabasca, you need to block that yoke before continuing, because that can tend to happen. And some stitches will really want to curve, really want to distort your work. So that's one thing I loved about this. No distortion happening. It worked really, really great with this stitch. Okay. Someone else said they were going to make a small, but they're going to make a medium to layer. Great idea, because that really does, you can layer over stuff and it's going to look amazing. And I find this sweater, I was asked about it, well, is it that warm? It's definitely warm when you're wearing it, but you know, obviously wind is going to go right through it. So it depends on your purpose of your sweater. So I wear a tank top under it, which I do with most of my cardigans, everything. And now there's like tons and tons of bodysuits and stuff you can get to wear under this stuff. Camisoles, like, oh, the options are endless. So lots of options to wear underneath it. And even wear a long sleeve bodysuit under this if you wanted it to be a bit warmer. But also it is warm, and I typically am warm in my house. So I'm really happy with probably wearing this through the winter. But if you need a warm sweater that you're out and you're worried about, you know, air coming through, or obviously if it's the dead of winter, you're going to want probably a warmer sweater. But a lot of times those warm sweaters are too warm to wear most of the time, unless you're going outside and you need those layers. So I really actually like that it's open like this, because I can get too hot sometimes in the house. And that's typically why I like cardigans, because I can slip them off or on depending on my comfort level. So I would be worried about going into the colder months making these. I think they're kind of all season. So now you probably be a bit warm in this one in the summer, but spring, fall, winter, I think they're a great option. And with that spike stitch, you can close it up a little bit. So if you're thinking about trying that, I'd love to see your pictures in the group. So if you do that, make sure to post them. We've already seen some already, but if other people have made them that way, post them in the group so people can see, because we all love a visual and to see how that's going to look. I think it's really cool texture. It's got a great texture. So I think you'd love doing that. Okay, so Julie's asking about the guide. So you want to go sign up. So make sure, and I think Emma has popped that in the comments, the Flowdesk sign up. But if you go to the main Cal page, the sign up is like right at the beginning, and all the links are in the description box of this video. So you're going to get your gauge guide, you're going to get the supply list, and you're going to get a coupon code if you sign up. So that's the great thing. Now that means you're subscribing to my newsletter when you sign up. So, and Mary Maxim as well. So we're giving you these freebies because you're signing up, and we want to make it worth your while. So I hope you enjoy those freebies that we're putting out. So other people are just mentioning, and Mary's asking how to sign up. So again, just look through the description box there and you're going to find all those links, or check the comments because Emma's popping them in as well. So awesome. Yep. So I can't wait to see hoodies. It's going to be so fun to see everybody's hoodies. And I have Lori who did her gauge this morning. That's awesome. If you've made your gauge swatches or your pockets, pop them in the group. We want to see them for sure. Okay. So someone else is really excited about the gauge guide, which I was really happy to make for you guys. We were getting so many questions about it in the group. I was like, I have to jump on this. I have to make this for you guys, even though, you know, it was that extra bit to do the video and whatnot. I'm just glad I did it because I really want you guys to make sweaters that you love. So many of you have never made a garment before. This is your first garment, or you're intimidated by garments. And then when you make them, you're going to be like, oh, wow. So, I mean, in this, just with my daughter, you know, she's young, she's almost 21, And she loves this stuff. It's like, it's cool. Like she'd rather wear crochet clothes than go to the store and buy something, which I think is amazing. And when she can now make that, she now isn't really that interested in making blankets for me anymore. She wants to make all of the clothes, because once you make it and see how easy it is and you find a fit that's right and looks good on you, you're going to be totally hooked and you're going to want to do that. So I want you to understand just a little bit about, you know, the yarns and making the gauge swatch and getting that right fit and trying it on as you go, which I love with the top down, so that it's fun, it's comfortable, and you're going to love wearing it. And that's the important thing. You want to be able to wear it and enjoy it. So Emma's going to be making more stuff for us. So she's working on one of my super, super popular patterns is the peekaboo crop cardigan. It is crazy popular, and I only did a crop version. Emma's working on a longer version of it. I can't wait for her to finish. It's going to be so beautiful. So watch for that, because we're going to probably put an update out to that pattern and show it in a long version. And she's now hooked on garments, so I may not get her making any more blankets for me. It could just be garments all the way now. So let's see. A question about Prism. Sorry, this is taking me so long to get to your questions. It is a roving. It's interesting. It's a roving, but it's not wool. So it's something different that I hadn't really used before. It's 100% acrylic, but it is like a roving and has a thick, thin, and some people may not like that, but I love it. I love it for garments and shawls. I'm totally hooked on this yarn. So, but if you're from UK and you have a substitute for this, you found a good substitute, make sure to post it in the group for our UK fans, because not everybody can get it. You can get it. Mary Maxim has a Canadian site and a US site, but they are not shipping overseas. So if you found a good substitute for this, guys, make sure to let us know in the group, because it's definitely one, and it's so soft. It's one of my favorites right now to work with. Somebody else wants this color. I know I was thinking I probably shouldn't wear this color if it's sold out, but I just love the pink. And I thought for the granny pop, which is kind of, you know, where I came up with this name, pop is just the pop of color. And I thought I needed a pop of color today. So I put on this bright pop of color for my live. So someone else is saying they did the short sleeve. I'm pretty sure here I made a short arm version. Yep. So definitely, especially if you are going into warmer weather and you don't want the long sleeve, make it with a short sleeve. And that would be, and if you use a cotton yarn, even better, it's going to be even better for the warmer weather. So the coupon code for my Etsy shop, so I'm not sure exactly what you're referring, so I'll just cover it all. So we have a coupon code for the hoodie, and it is just for the hoodie, and it is available for the Etsy shop and Ravelry shop. The coupon code that is included with the ebook, if you buy the ebook, that one is for Ravelry. That is a Ravelry coupon code only. And then the only other coupon code, I guess, is the Mary Maxim code, which is just good for Mary Maxim. So I hope that answers your question. So I'm going to keep going through here, try and get to as many as I can today. So how tall are you? So I think I kind of touch base on this depending on our height. That's why trying on is good. I'm 5'6", just under 5'6". So definitely if you are short, you won't probably want to do as many rounds if you want it crop. And I would just try it on, or if, again, this is where you can look in your own wardrobe, find a top length that you like, measure that out. Then as you're working, you can measure and know that your band is going to maybe add, 1.5 to 2 inches to that length. And sometimes it's okay if you do the tightness on the band, it will cinch it in. So even if, let's say you go a little bit longer, your waistband is probably going to pull it in, and that little bit of looseness is sometimes nice with the crop too. So yeah, measure top you have, or just try it on as you go to get that right fit. You just want to be sure before you start working all of that band, because the band is a lot of work. So just make sure you're happy before you start the band. Okay, and someone else starting on their first garment today. So all of those that are starting, this is your first garment. Congratulations for taking the plunge, for joining the Crochet Along, and I really wish you all the success and luck in making it. I really feel like you're going to find it so much easier than you think, and you're going to absolutely love making garments. And I know I'm hooked on them. If any of you've known me from the beginning, I started out really popular with my blanket patterns. A lot of my blankets went viral, and I've always loved accessories and wanted to get into garments. And so I've slowly transitioned to doing more and more of that. I still do blankets, not so much the character blankets, but I love making garments, and that's what I'm drawn to. I want to make accessories and garments and things that make us feel good. And I love wearing my own stuff that I've made. I mean, I still do buy lots of stuff, but I'm always inspired by what's in fashion, and I want to make something like that myself. I see it and I'm like, I can make that. I can make that. And it's usually much better quality. So that's what's nice. Make something yourself and it's better quality. You can pick the fiber, you can pick the color. So let me see. I'm going to keep going through. So many. How high do the sizes go? So if you've missed that, they do go up to 5X, and they're all oversized. So if you're bigger than a 5X, you're probably still going to be completely good with these patterns. And to be honest, even if you needed to go bigger again, it's literally just these top down, it's like 2 more rows, and you've got the extra size that you need. That's what I love about top down. So easy to modify. And another thing, and I actually added this to the V-neck, just a little modification tip, because it was coming up in the group, and Tony that made the V-neck from TL Yarn Crafts, she had not gone as deep with the V-neck because it would have been a little bit plunging on her. So the V-neck sweater, you can join it whenever you want, which is, I didn't even think to add that in the pattern initially, but you can join it up wherever you feel comfortable, and then just continue in the round, increasing as you normally would, like if you were making the pullover, how the increases are in the yoke. So you just continue increasing as normal until you get, I've added the row charts into the PDF, so you're not getting them on the blog. They were a little extra, and I wanted those who purchased the pattern, I wanted to give you a bonus. So the charts are included in there. So you can just, again, follow along. But if you don't have the charts, okay, look at the number of clusters you need to get to, still the number of rows you need to get to. So just join it up where you're comfortable. I do want to mention, though, it is going to look a lot bigger on you before you put the collar on than when you actually get the collar on. So it's going to seem bigger than it will be when you get all of that collar done, but it'll still give you a rough gauge as to like where you should maybe join at so that you're comfortable. And another tip I had for that is, and somebody did this in the group and I thought it looked amazing. She did, let me grab my V-neck. She did the V-neck, the collar thicker. So she had it match. She did it the depth of the cuffs and the band. Okay, the band here. You can see, I can't even get my sweater straight for you. Okay, so here's the band. So I did it thinner. So I did about half. So you could make it easily. You could go thicker, and that would give you more coverage. So if you've ended up making it maybe bigger than you thought when you try it on, you've already done all that work, and you're like, oh, I don't want to pull it back. Just go with a thicker band. So that's another way just to give you more coverage. So you can make your band really as thick as you want, and then you can have a little bit more coverage. Or like I say, just join where you feel comfortable. So let me keep going. Oh my goodness, I'm so far behind, guys. I'm sorry if I haven't got to your question. Yeah. Yeah, people are loving the top down. I love the top down too. what yarn is the V-neck adult size. So the V-neck is the Prism, and the color that I used was Landscape. And I also did it in Platinum as well. Prism yarn. Ooh, this is a good one. This is a good one. So color placement for color changes. Sometimes I did notice that. I usually will try to color match. So if I'm joining a ball, I will color match it depending on where it is. If you're doing, like, if you're going, you know, back and forth, it's depending on where you're joining it, it may not be that noticeable, but if possible, match up your color, go through and match it up. Like, especially if you think it's going to mess up the look, I would definitely try to color match with it and join on with the same color. So if you've ended with a gray, join with the gray, pink, whatever. Just try to kind of keep it consistent. And again, we can say the cal is, and I've mentioned this a few times, but you can join for free by viewing the patterns on the blog. All the lives are free, right? All of that is available. The videos are on YouTube for free. They're just supported by ads. So I'm still earning income, even though you're not actually having to purchase anything. I earn revenue from the ads, and that's why I will provide the free content on the blog, because of the ads. So the PDF just gives you that you don't have all of those ads, and you can print off a nice, you know, copy and have it to keep, or have it on your device and not be having to load it up with the internet and everything else. So, but they are available there and on YouTube, also supported by ads on YouTube. And someone was asking about the hoodie video. So it's on my YouTube channel, and it's the latest pattern that's just been released. So it'll be really easy to find. And Cynthia said, thanks so much, MJ, for all your hard work. Thank you so much. It is a ton of work. It's an absolute ton of work, but I love doing it. And I really hope you enjoy these crochet alongs. I've got another one coming up with my friends Hannah and Brianna in October. So you know that's quick. We're jumping from one to the next, but the fall is such a fun time, and I just want this community involvement during the fall going up to Christmas. So as many of these crochet alongs as I can do, I'm going to try to do this year, just to keep us all excited about yarn and making things for Christmas and getting into the colder weather. Okay, here's another question. If I don't want to do the ribbing, can I do a DC post ribbing? Of course, you can alter it up however you want. I've done the post ribbing before too, and I love it as well. I just find it's a little bit thicker. I guess this type of ribbing, I just feel it almost looks more knit, even though it's not, and it's not as bulky, but you could go ahead and do whatever you want. Really, you can do whatever type of ribbing. You could even just do a simple single crochet ribbing if you want. Just change it up to what you like, right? And if you really don't like this join as you go ribbing style that I've done, just do something different. And we'd love to see your pictures. We'd love to see how it looks, because if other people feel the same way as you, it's nice to have those alternatives. People can see how it looks and how it comes out. And I just want to mention again that all of the links are in the description box. So if you're looking at where to sign, oh, and I forgot, I actually have the QR code. Michelle. So we can put this up here. The QR code you can scan if you can scan it, depending on if you've got a device or not. You can scan this code, and that will also take you to the page for the sign up. And I'll just maybe leave that on for a bit so you guys can scan that. Where's my chat gone? Okay, here we go. So there's how you can, and also you'll find the links in the description box for everything else. Someone here says they're in Texas and they're frying. It's actually super, super hot here today too. We're in a major heat wave and it's crazy. And here I am sitting. I'm not roasting yet. I've had to turn my air conditioning off. I'm in my attic. I'm going to probably start sweating soon because the air conditioning is too loud. But we've had a heat wave, which was disappointing for the kids because they want to wear, back to school. They want to wear their new fall clothes, but it has been super, super hot here too. The steamer for blocking, honestly, I think I have a Conair, but really whatever. I like the handheld one just because it's smaller. I used to have this big, tall thing, and it was a pain. It was so big I had to store it. Now I just have a little handheld. I think I've linked actually probably one to Amazon, Canada and US. So there are some on there. So take a look through the link that I have in the link will be in the supply list on the blog post and also in the ebook. So I usually will try to hyperlink all the supplies so you can go check them out. So I may have recommended a different one in Canada because I think the Conair that I had was super expensive on Amazon. So I'll usually you can look for the best sellers or ones that have really good reviews. Check the reviews out to find something. But I love mine. It's really easy. And I'll just lay out whatever I'm steaming. Just you have to be careful with acrylic that you don't melt it. So just a light steaming is all this really needs. And acrylic doesn't usually change a whole lot. Natural fibers is different, but if you're using an acrylic yarn, it shouldn't change. It's more to like the cardigan sort of needs it to flatten out the ribbing and just make it look nicer. Here's a question about gauge. Making hoodie, my gauge width is spot on. My 7 rows equal, 3.5 inches. So you're off by about a half. I don't think that's going to make a huge difference. You might just need to add some extra rows to your length. I don't know if I would change your yoke, but maybe your length going down, I would maybe just try on again as you go to get the right length. But 1/2 inch isn't too much. So you're probably okay. It's good that you're on the stitches. Oh, someone's still working on the last one. That was a biggie. That was definitely a big crochet along. If you're working on granny squares, they are a lot of work. They are definitely a lot of work. So keep working on that and keep sharing in our group though. We'd love to see your pictures of the skirt. It still ties into our whole theme. I'm going with granny for the year, granny style stuff. So keep sharing in the group. We'd love to see your skirt when it's all done. Is it possible to add a row to the yoke without increasing? Not that I'm really aware of because you're increasing in those V stitches. So if you don't increase, you're going to have to make some adjustment to get it to not increase. So you're going to have to skip like a chain 1 space around around the whole thing, because it will increase automatically. So you're going to have to almost decrease it if you're not increasing it. So just play around with that. I haven't tried it, so I don't want to say exactly. I know you'll have to skip some chain spaces so that you're not increasing up to the next. Not sure how it would look. You'd have to try it out and see. And if you do, make sure to post in the group and let people know, because if anyone else is looking to do that, it's always good to have everyone's opinion on how it looks. Always you can take a picture of your yoke if you've tried doing it to see how it looks and that it's not distorted in any way. Okay, so what size am I wearing? I'm pretty sure when I did this, I made a small, but I went too loose with my gauge. So it's probably fitting like the medium, I would say. And that's, again, where even I wasn't checking my gauge, and sometimes I'm just loosely doing stuff and not even realizing it. So, and sometimes the difference in yarn I find can throw things off too. Like, who knows? Sometimes different colors work up differently. So I know just if I did a check on my gauge, my rows are definitely bigger than I think they should be. So yeah, even the designer messes up her own pattern sometimes. But that's okay. We're all human, so it happens. Depending on if my mood, my gauge can vary. That's why it's always important sometimes to check your gauge throughout a pattern, because I've had this happen. And don't switch your hooks, because that can mess up your gauge too. So if you go from one brand of hook to another brand of hook, that can also mess up your gauge. When are you going to start? So the CAL starts today, but work at your own pace. If you can't start till next week, that's okay. Just make sure to join the Facebook community. You can be checking out what other people are doing, what they're posting, what tips they have. It's always great to just start getting involved. If you've ordered yarn, share pictures of what you've ordered or what you're going to go pick up, or if you are just wondering other people's opinions, if a yarn will work, just make sure to post that in the group. And yeah, so like hers. Oh, okay. This is a good one. So they would like a turtleneck. How can you adjust the neck? Well, for this one, it'd be super easy, because you would just make, instead of doing your ribbing 10 stitches or whatever I did for this one, I think it was 10 stitches, but I can't remember. You would just make it really as much as you want. So you could have it that it just goes straight up, or you could have that it folds over. So you would definitely want to make sure that you make it, your ribbing long enough that you can flip it and make it into a turtleneck, and that would look really nice. So, and because you're starting with it, it's really whatever you want to go with. Like maybe go with a chain of 30, 31, and then have an even 30 stitches. So it's really like you can play around with your yarn and see what you think looks good and how big you want the turtleneck, and then just go with the same number of rows. Just go right into the pattern as you normally would. So someone's saying again that it bothers them that it pulls. I would really, you have to play around with it and see what you can get to work. I played around with it a little bit, and I tried going around the whole V-neck section in single crochets instead of slip stitches. That definitely loosened it a little bit more down here at the V section. And I added more kind of stitches. But as soon as I went to still put that ribbing on, it naturally, like it has to line up with the side of the stitch. If you understand when I showed it, it's like it is going to line up with that stitch. So if you don't like that, I would suggest maybe just not making that pattern, because it's naturally going to do that. You could just do a single crochet edge around, and that may not pull it as much, but it's really a little bit of playing with it. You have to realize this is a big open stitch. So as soon as you go to like put something tight around it, it's going to align with where you're putting stitches. So it's going to naturally do that just with this style. If you don't like this style of V-neck, maybe go with like the Plush and Blush crop top, which is done in just a simpler stitch that doesn't have this open stitch work that's going to pull anything. And I mean, it's so gradual, and most of us do like that detail, not dislike that detail. So again, if this is something that really bothers you, maybe this pattern, this style is not the best one to choose. As you can see, again, when you go here, it's going to naturally align with what you put in there. So skipping ribbing will help it a little bit, but maybe pick a different style if that really is going to annoy you, because if something annoys you, you're not going to wear it. So maybe try doing something else. Let's say you started doing the V-neck and you're like, okay, I'm going to play around with this before I move on to the next section, and you don't like how it's looking, turn it into a cardigan. Simple fix. You don't have to pull out all of your work. Because again, if you don't like it, you're not going to wear it. So don't pick something that bothers you. Just do the crew neck instead. Do a cardigan instead, whatever you prefer, or pick a V-neck pattern that doesn't have this kind of open work stitch. So like the Plush and Blush crop top is a V-neck that's done with, I think it was herringbone. I've done so many patterns. It was half double crochet or herringbone double crochet. And then that is just going to be your normal basic V style sweater. Gauge, gauge, gauge. Yeah. So I'm glad I could help clarify, and that everyone's excited about the gauge guide and the video, because that is going to be super helpful for this crochet along. And if you notice that someone's struggling in the group that doesn't know about that, because not everybody sees the updates or is following me or has notifications on YouTube, so make sure to just direct them there. So if I don't see their comment, if you see somebody struggling, send them over to the video, and then they can sign up to get the guide for free as well. Okay. Someone's asking, Emma, do the timestamps. Yeah. For adding ribbing. Let me see. Let me think about this question again, exactly what you're saying. The cardigan doesn't quite fit. Is it possible to add a couple of rows on each side before adding ribbing? I would just make your ribbing wider, if that's what you mean. If it's like you're finding it small in the front. And this is what Emma actually did when she worked on the cardigan for her mother-in-law. Okay, so because, again, Emma's gauge, she's a much tighter crocheter than me. She made it, I think it was coming out smaller, and I was worried, like, what if it doesn't fit your mother-in-law? So we just made the ribbing wider. So that's how we fixed it without her having to pull anything out or worry. I'm like, quick fix. You can just, I don't know how, you could maybe do single crochet rows around more before you added your ribbing, but it's not going to align properly to try to do clusters per se on the side, but you can definitely make your ribbing wider, and that should accommodate for the difference. Yes, you're going to have wider ribbing. It's going to change the look a little bit, but it will give you more coverage if that's what you're that's what you're looking for. So this question here, the only thing I would say for your holes not as big, like my holes on here are going to look a lot bigger because I was loose on this one. But if your stitch is tighter, the holes are going to be smaller. So if you've gone a bit tighter with your gauge, or like the gauge how it's normally supposed to be, it's going to be a bit smaller. And I used a smaller hook. See, as you can tell with the minis, I went down to a 4.5 millimeter hook. So the holes are much smaller, and you could easily do this and just make a bigger size. Like if you want to use a smaller hook and tighten things up, or do the spike stitch and cover up your hole. So those are your options for that. Okay. Could you do a tutorial on blocking? I do have one that sometimes I will add little bits to the videos, but I also have a blocking tutorial for the sun-kissed cardigan that you might find interesting to watch. It's more specific to that crochet along that I ran probably a few years back now. And it was covering maybe more lace work, because lace work really will stretch out. But I do have, if you search on my YouTube channel, I have the sun-kissed cardigan playlist, and there is a gauge video in there that you could, not gauge, blocking video in there that you could watch, a specific blocking video. And maybe I'll do another one again coming up that will be more updated and maybe more generic, but that's a good one to go watch, especially for anything lace work that you're doing. And most of my patterns, I do block them, even a lot of acrylic ones. Sometimes with a top down, it's good to block the yoke before you put it all together. I don't like to necessarily, I don't like the blocking as much a top down because it's all already pieced together, and then I don't like to make it like have creases on the sides, if you know what I mean. So you can still sort of block it out, but I really love when I do my patterns flat or like in pieces and then block them all out exactly to the measurements. That I prefer doing than blocking this style of sweater. You still can. I just don't like it to crease it, where it's like when you have flat pieces, you can get those nice straight edges. And a lot of my one piece cardigans and tops that are all just laid out flat, like with this, I lay them all out and block them right to measurements. And it's usually just a matter of wetting them. I'm so excited about this. I got some soak from We Crochet. So this is a gentle laundry soap for blocking, and you can use mild detergent as well, but you just put a little bit of this in your lukewarm water, let your garment or your piece rest in there for about 25 to 30 minutes, and then rinse it out, squeeze out all your water. I like to wrap it in a towel to get out excess, and then I use blocking mats. And I just lay it out. I start pinning it all to measurements. I have some links in my Amazon shops, and usually I will link in patterns the blocking pins I use that are really amazing because they're big and they're just much better than a bunch of little pins. And then you just let it fully dry. And the schematics are in the patterns usually to block out those measurements. And it usually helps really just like relax your fibers. It gets your piece to the exact measurements it's supposed to be. And if it's lace work, you really want to stretch the lace out to see the detail. Someone said something about, yes, and you can even do that. And I think I mentioned this in the pattern. You can even use a pillowcase to put it in if you don't have one of those bags. But I do have one that I put my crochet stuff in, but also a pillowcase, if you don't have one, can work as well. Oh, now here is a question about the UK. So people are talking about in the group, but check out Hobie because Tony, like I was saying earlier, she has a brand new yarn out called Happy Place, and she made the V-neck sweater. So if you go over to her channel, you can check that out, and it gauged perfectly. And her yarn is absolutely beautiful. So you may want to check it out. But Hobie also has some yarns that are similar to Prism, like some beautiful gradients. So check those out. Look for DK. And check out Happy Place because Tony has from TL Yarn Crafts. You can go check her out on YouTube. She's very popular. She's so sweet. Absolutely love her. She made the V-neck. She did a color block. Looks amazing. And she used Happy Place 3 colors. And she said it gauged perfect first try. And it turned out amazing. Ooh, have I used autumn? I have not used autumn yet. It's not even a color that I have in my stash, so I haven't. But if anyone's used it, please post in the group so we can see. I've been trying to use different colors just so we can see the variety, but they're also pretty. So I'm sure it will look great if you're curious about trying it. So a ran, I think, is going to be very heavy for this cardigan. And I would size down maybe a couple sizes if you use a ran because it's even heavier than a worsted. And the worsted, going back to what I used, gauged closer to a sport to like, it's a very thin worsted. So definitely not a ran. And on a ran for our wraps per inch is 8 and I wrapped 13. So it's going to make it much heavier. You're not going to have the same drape. So it's not what I would suggest, but if you're really wanting to use a particular yarn, then you definitely are going to want to size down. Because if you just try to change your hook, you're going to end up with a really dense fabric. Ooh, somebody did mention as well that this yarn here is almost identical. Signet Boho Spirit is pretty much identical. So there you go. There's an option for you as well. Oh, and someone had asked for, there is a giveaway. Haven't even talked about that yet. We do have a giveaway going on. So if you go to the hoodie blog post, so that is the newest blog post, and I have the link in the description to my blog. We have a giveaway that you can win 8 balls of Prism yarn. I'm going to do 3 winners for that, and also the ebook. So make sure to go enter if you want to enter the giveaway to win some yarn, you can pick, so that's for Canada and US only, unfortunately, because of the shipping restrictions. So if you're in Canada or US, you can enter to win the yarn and the ebook. And I'm just going to mention again, because I just see a lot of questions about the patterns, all the links are down in the description box. So we're going, oh my goodness, I'm taking too long today, guys. I'm sorry. But hopefully we can get to all of your questions. Someone had said about saving the gauge swatch for a pocket. Absolutely. Save it for your pocket, because that's how I made my pocket, was with that size. So I'm going to try to get through these. I'm so behind. For anyone in the US that has Hobby Lobby nearby, Yarn Bee, here's probably another substitute. We don't have a Hobby Lobby in Canada, so it would be for Americans. Yarn Bee Chloe yarn looks similar as well. Oh, it's a tad itchy though, so I'm not sure if you would want that. Yeah, we don't want itchy. More cardies, please. Oh, and I do have more stuff coming for fall, guys. Lots and lots of stuff coming. But everybody has been enjoying the grannies so much that I wanted to just do this crochet along with all of you while you're making them. Because so many, if you're in the group, everybody's been making these sweaters and posting their pictures. Someone, Esther here, has made 7 for donations, which is amazing. Okay, so apparently someone said Hobby Lobby ships to Canada. But yes, we don't have any of the stores in Canada. I'm trying to scan through all of your comments quickly. I think I'm almost getting to 12 and we're at 12:30 now. So many comments. So many of you have joined though. I believe we have over 5,000 participants. So we have a lot of people joining into the group. Everybody's so excited about this crochet along. And I'm so excited to have all of you guys. It's amazing. The mini pop sweaters are good stash busting, and they definitely are. They're so cute as gifts and absolutely adorable. If you've seen the pictures of little Rose wearing them, she's so cute. They fit her so well. So they'll make a great gift for boys or girls. Just pick colors that their moms like, and anybody would be happy to receive those. And I have lots of little hat patterns to whip up a little hat. I didn't do a granny hat, but I've got lots. The star stitch is really popular, the star stitch hat, and you can do a flower or a bow. Comfy Sport. Yes, Comfy Sport would work because it's probably a little bit thinner, but I think that would be completely fine because they're oversized. Again, I think that it would be fine. If you want to use a cotton yarn that you like, I would just make your swatch and see what you think. And again, if it's a little bit smaller, you might just want to size up, or even make your normal size because it's oversized and it will come out just a little bit more fitted. Marie says we're floating in clusters. We sure are. And I'm ready to move on from clusters, guys. Although I am working on a blanket. Did you want a sneak peek? I'm going to go over here to my basket. I have a lot of stuff shoved in here, but I'm going to give you a little sneak peek, and I hope I can keep working on it so that you don't get too mad at me if I don't get it out soon. But I am working on a cluster, another cluster pattern, but a blanket, and it's going to be a chevron cluster, and it's super pretty. I'm using, let's check out the yarn that I'm using. I had to buy this yarn because it was just so pretty. So it's Respun Thick and Quick, Lion brand Respun Thick and Quick. We had it in our local Walmart, or it was actually Walmart, I think, when we were away that I picked it up. And I just love the colors. I had to buy some, and I'm making this beautiful blanket. So there you go. I do have more clusters. I probably will have a lot more clusters by the end of this year, but I'm maybe going to hold off on more sweater clusters. Okay. So let me see. I'm really trying. I hope I've almost answered all of your questions. But there's still lots of comments here. So I'm going through them. I'm trying to read quickly to see. So someone says she's subscribed to the channel, but still didn't get the information. So you need to go and sign up for the Crochet Along specifically. And there is a link there. The links are in the description for that. Has also posted them in the comments. So it's not subscribing to the channel, but you need to go sign up for the CAL. And then when you do, you'll get an email. So once you sign up, you'll get an email almost right away. Sometimes it might take, a minute, but it comes pretty quick. And you will get an email welcoming you with your supply list with all the information. Your coupon code is in the supply list and also the gauge guide. So you need to sign up for the Crochet Along specifically. I would suggest going down a hook size and possibly sizing down. Oh, you're an extra small. Definitely go down a hook size. You could even use a lighter weight yarn. Go with a sport weight yarn maybe instead, and that will make it smaller for you. Okay, I'm going to put back up the QR code just in case anyone needs to still scan that. So that will give you all the information for the Crochet Along, and the sign up is there on that page as well. So if you need to get those details, plus it has all the information about getting the ebook and that sort of thing as well. So all of it can be found if you want to scan that or look in the description box, and you'll be able to find all of the links there. I've got someone here. Laurel's on row 10 of the hoodie. A lot of people have already made some of them, so they've just been waiting for the hoodie and want to get on to that one next. Someone's actually making a knit ribbing, which that's awesome. And yes, the live will be on replay. This is a really long live, guys. I'm going to have to wrap it up soon. Oh my goodness. But yes, you'll be able to watch this on replay. So many questions. Okay. So many comments. Hint on the October collaboration. Ooh, it's going to be fun, guys. You're going to be blown away by these designs. Absolutely blown away. It's coming soon. We'll start sharing sneak peeks. I'm almost done with my patterns. So I'm excited for that one too. Can you go help reduce the pulling? I'm not quite sure what that means, but if you're not liking how it looks with the smaller hook, going up the hook size is definitely going to change the look. So I would just experiment and see what it is. Drawstring option. I had thought about a drawstring on the hood, but I'm not a big fan of drawstrings myself. You could easily add one in if you're wanting. Depends on how you want it to go. If you want it to go around, you could weave it through your stitches, or if you want it to go around the neck area, it would be really easy to add one in as well. You could totally do that. I'm just not a huge fan of them because I lose them and they get I don't know. I'm just not a big fan, but you can totally add one if you want, and just weave it how you want it on the hood. Okay, so if you're looking for the video for the sweater I'm wearing, you just need to go to my channel. There's a playlist for garments, and it's the Granny Pop pullover. So really easy to find. Just go to the garments playlist and you can find all of my garments in there. You can also search in the search bar, Granny Pop pullover or easy granny stitch sweater or something, anything to those effect, and it usually will come up with any tags like related, so you should be able to find it no problem if you go to my YouTube channel. So someone else had commented you can always make a child size if you're small. If you're smaller, that gives you some more options. If you're tiny, these would be awesome for family photos. And someone else mentioned yarnsub.com is great if you want to look for substitutes, but I really suggest this little tool. And I also give you some info about doing the yards divided by grams when you're comparing balls, and you can check that out in the video, also in the guide. That kind of can give you like a quick kind of look at like, okay, is this going to be similar? Like for instance, this is Mellow Spun DK, and I would compare the yards in grams. They're both DK. This one has 284 yards. This one has 290. So they're going to be a good match. But if you divide out the value, so 290 divided by 100 is 2.9. So if you have different weight balls, you can do the same calculation to kind of compare, is the yarn similar thickness based on the 2.9 value. So the bigger the number, the thinner the yarn, the smaller the number, the thicker the yarn, or the bigger the number, the thinner, the smaller the number, the thicker. So you can remember that. But I go through that in the guide and also in the video for comparing yarns. It doesn't take into consideration the fibers. Some fibers are just heavier than others, but it gives you kind of a pretty close approximation. Oh my goodness, I'm almost to the end. This is crazy. Okay. So thanks so much for everybody that came and joined me today. I know this is super long live. If you're watching the replay and you need to skip through parts, lots of information has been talked about here. We have a community group that is, if you're on Facebook, please, I highly suggest you go join the group, because you can post your pictures, ask your questions. Everything will happen in the group. If you don't have Facebook, you don't want Facebook, that's okay. You can still be part of it. Just watch the lives, work away on your stuff. Tag me on other platforms if you can. Email us pictures, and we can help answer questions that way as well. But if you can join the Facebook group, that would be awesome. Are there instructions? Yes, there's instructions for buttonholes on the ribbing. And I explain how you can alter that too, depending on the size of your buttons. Okay, so thanks so much again, everybody who came and joined me for this long Q&A. I hope everyone's going to enjoy the crochet along. I definitely will be doing more lives. I'm not sure how many yet, but we will definitely be going live again next week. I'll try and pop on as much as I can, depending on if there's lots of questions that need to be answered. So make sure to join the group to ask your questions and sign up, because that's how you're going to get all the updates and when I'm going live and all of the details. So I'll try and answer questions through those emails as well. So that's a good way for you to stay connected, even if you're not on Facebook. So make sure to sign up, get on that email list so I can send out all of the details to you. And if lots of questions are coming up, I'll do a frequently asked questions email and make sure everybody's kind of getting that information. getting it to you. And make sure you approve me as a sender, because I know sometimes people aren't getting the emails and they're going into junk or spam, or they're just not coming through. I'm not sure what's happening. But if you approve admin@mjsoffthehookdesigns.com as a sender in your email, it will hopefully get those emails coming through. I know when I have attachments like these books, they can get flagged as spam. So just make sure to do that so that you get the emails. I don't want people not getting the books and all the things I'm sending out. So do that, and then hopefully my emails will come through to you and you'll get all of the information. So thanks again for everyone that joined. And I will be in the group cheering everybody on. I can't wait to see all of your garments. Again, if I missed any questions, I'm sorry. And if I missed any pertinent information, I'm sorry. I get rambling on. But I think we've covered most everything, and it's going to be an awesome event. So thanks so much, guys. Have a great day, and can't wait to see you next time on my next